So it turns out that my trailer prediction video from a while back was correct, as yesterday the teaser trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey was debuted exclusively in movie theatres, which especially makes sense as both films are by the same studio and it's just over a year before The Odyssey releases. Nolan has done a similar thing with all of his movies since 2008's The Dark Knight in IMAX, debuting 1-minute teasers in theatres around a year before his films come out. It's currently unclear whether Universal will release this trailer online in HD, as while Oppenheimer's teaser was released online, some of Nolan's previous films like Tenet weren't. And it was revealed by sources the other day that this first Odyssey teaser will be playing in theatres all month in front of multiple film releases. So if it's not published in the next few weeks, then I would expect it to remain in theatres. And I guess for a short announcement teaser like this, that's quite understandable. Still, there will be other trailers for the film to come, and potentially a traditional Nolan prologue release at the end of this year too, which I will be discussing a bit more towards the end. But Pattinson. There is speculation that Pattinson will take on the role of Hermes, the messenger god and herald of the Olympian deities. At the beginning of the trailer, he says, "Darkness, Zeus's law smashed to pieces, a kingdom without a king since my master died." This narration accompanies visuals of a deep blue sea and waves crashing against a sandy beach. He continues saying, he knew it was an unwinnable war, and then somehow, he won it. On the shore, 2 images depict what seems to be the legendary Trojan horse, which was Odysseus' brilliant strategy to covertly bring Greek warriors into Troy, slaughter the defenders, and plunder the city to secure victory in the war. In one shot, the shadow of the wooden horse looms over the beach, and then in the following one, we get a direct view of it, partially submerged in the water as the waves crash in and soldiers approach from the side. Of course, in the Greek story, Odysseus' voyage back home spans a decade after his vessel is diverted from its path. During this time, he faces creatures such as the Cyclops, is imprisoned by the nymph Calypso, and has confrontations with different Greek deities like Poseidon. We don't get any of the gods or creatures in the footage, but the teaser is certainly hinting at those moments, with one later shot showing what looks to be Odysseus entering a cave and unsheathing his sword, presumably the one where he confronts the Cyclops Polyphemus. We did get behind the scenes footage of this location a few months back, and the one shot in the teaser is particularly tension-filled and foreboding. Moving on, the teaser shifts to a gripping conversation between Tom Holland's Telemachus and Jon Bernthal's character. In this exchange, Bernthal reveals that he is unaware of Odysseus' location. The shots heavily imply that Bernthal is betraying Menelaus, with a further hazy glimpse of Lupita Nyong'o in the background, who is expected to take on the role of Helen. Menelaus, the king of Sparta, was married to Helen, who was taken by Paris, a prince of Troy, an event that sparked the Trojan War. In the Odyssey story, Telemachus seeks out 2 people in his quest to find his father, ultimately visiting Nestor and Menelaus. And Bernthal does not resemble Nestor, which probably means he's the latter. Bernthal's character says to Holland's Telemachus, "I know nothing of Odysseus, not since Troy," and Holland replies, "I have to find out what happened to my father, when did you last see him?" Bernthal then says, interested in rumour, gossip, and then shouts to those around him, "Who has a story about Odysseus? You have a story." Following this, we see a scene featuring Greek soldiers dressed in armour and wielding torches as they march through a city street under the cover of night, which looks like an opening scene set in Troy. We got behind the scenes footage of this battle scene towards the beginning of filming, and based on what's shown in the teaser trailer, it looks like it's going to be one of Nolan's most impressive action-filled scenes to date. After this, on-screen text appears, which reads 1 year from now, signalling the film's current release date of July 17th, 2026, and then a few seconds afterwards, the text "A Journey Begins" is put on screen as well. We then get a final few shots and dialogue from Bernthal and Holland, with the former saying, "Some say he's rich or some say he's poor." The Odysseus cave shot that I mentioned before is then intercut, and Bernthal continues saying, "Some say he perished, some say he's imprisoned, what say you?" Bernthal poses this question while we see a shot of men approaching a city with a tattered flag fluttering in the breeze. Holland's character replies with a one-word question, "imprisoned." And Bernthal ends the teaser saying, "What kind of prison? Good old men like that." We end with a final shot showcasing Matt Damon's Odysseus marooned in the vast ocean on fragments of wood. The title of The Odyssey appears on the screen, along with the release date, bringing the teaser trailer to a close. So what did I think of the first teaser trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey? Well, with this just being the announcement teaser, it's a fantastic way to really echo the themes and ideas that the film is going to be presenting next year. The shift between the shots of multiple characters like with Bernthal and Holland, and then Odysseus alone on the ocean, suggests that the director will once again be using a multi-strand narrative, something he typically goes for while implementing his central themes like time and identity. Oppenheimer was the reverse, as we were put in the shoes of the main character throughout. So coming to a fantasy film by the filmmaker and intercutting between many characters, locations and potentially timelines is going to be an interesting thing to play out, especially when it comes to the story of Homer's The Odyssey. Moving on, one of the main positives I take away from this trailer has to be how visually beautiful the shots we got are throughout it. At times it made me think of some of the typical cinematography seen in the recent sci-fi films of director Denis Villeneuve, or even from Nolan's earlier work with, say, Batman Begins. The imagery is dark, moody and haunting, and it's elevated by the way it's cut and paced. I particularly love the shot of Odysseus in the cave, and also the one which looks to be from the Siege of Troy with the soldiers. Another standout for me was the brief glimpse we got at some of the performances, particularly in that of Jon Bernthal and Tom Holland. Tom's performance here, even in just a few seconds, felt very promising, and he convinced me that he is going to nail the role. Jon Bernthal, who also looks fantastic, infused the footage with an incredible intensity, and the lines he delivered suggests that Nolan's writing will be exceptional if it's like this throughout. And while we didn't get much from Matt Damon, he does look great visually in the role, and I can't wait to see more from his performance, especially after all the footage teasing his character. Furthermore, I have to make a mention for the score that plays throughout this teaser, because right from the get-go, we get quite an effective and haunting set of sounds. If I'm not wrong, the music we hear is an original composition by Ludwig Göransson, and it carries an apocalyptic and eerie atmosphere, becoming increasingly unsettling as the footage progresses. I really think it did a good job at conveying that this is going to be a dark telling of the story, but one that is still filled with the fantasy that we expect from. The last thing I wanted to talk about in this video, now that some of us have seen the teaser trailer for The Odyssey, is the potential release date for the full-length trailer and the traditional IMAX prologue that Christopher Nolan traditionally does for all of his big screen installments. Of course, I was right about the release date for this particular teaser, and if you watched my video on that, you'll know that I predicted that the IMAX prologue could come out with Avatar: Fire and Ash in theatres on December 19th, and then a release of the full trailer online around the same sort of time. I'm sticking with that prediction, and Nolan typically starts the big marketing push in December when looking back at some of his older July releases. The first teaser is just playing in theatres because it's a smaller announcement, and as I said before, it looks like the studio has attached it to all July cinematic releases. It's a good strategy for marketing and getting people in the know of The Odyssey, especially those who didn't know that it was coming. But again, this December, I think we'll see the prologue before Avatar 3 and the trailer released online a few days later. Nolan's film can get a lot of eyes on it and impress audiences with more footage, especially in an extended prologue. Whether it ends up being the first 5 minutes of the film or a montage of footage is up for debate, as Nolan has alternated between both methods in the past. But for now, we've got a great teaser to keep us anticipating more, and I'm really looking forward to the greater marketing push and eventual release of Christopher Nolan's highly anticipated film. For much more content on Christopher Nolan and his future projects, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.